out your own individual gifts. It's meant to make you just like everybody else.
Yes, get in line. Raise your hand when you talk to, yeah.
God forbid you should hold your pencil different than the rest of the kids. They will focus in on that one aspect of it. That's what happened with me.
Yeah. You have one of those special pencils?
No, I just hold my pen differently from other people. And I just remember a good part of my first 4 years at school was spent with various teachers trying to correct the way I held my damn pen. Like, this is how I hold it. You know?
So he holds it. Let him hold it. Jeez.
What a waste of my time and your time. You know, not holding a pencil right. This feels comfortable.
Can you read what I'm writing? Well, then good.
Shows you how brainwashed the teachers themselves are.
Yeah, I do remember having quite a few of those teachers that,
You think somebody would just come along and go, they said, well, you know, we tried to go over these words today, but this guy kept holding his pencil wrong. And somebody just said there, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make too much sense, though.
No. So, yeah, anything you want to remind yourself of, especially I don't know how much you listen to the alternative media, go ahead. You'll say it today, and then within the next 2 weeks you hear somebody else say it, but it won't quite be the same, but it'll at least trigger your memory. Because it's kind of like telephone. You know, by the time it gets regurgitated and rehashed through the multiple sequences of the alternative media, it'll be like a watered-down version of what you said here.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm used to that, but if, you know, I take if somebody wants to know what I say, they can hear it from my mouth on the website or whatnot, but, you know, they can say what they want. It doesn't bother me. I'm doing what I do for a reason, and I'm not doing it because, you know, I'm trying to get famous or sell a book or anything. I'm doing it, you know, because it's the right thing to do, so.
Well, I'll tell you something, you know, I have gifts in various areas, and this is one of the things that has allowed me to discover or uncover, whatever you want to call it, the things that I've come up with in my show. And it's because of how my mind works. Mm-hmm. Now, it's very different from yours in regards to where I am not good at faces. I'm horrible at it. When I talk to people, I don't really notice the details of their appearance. And actually, it's actually cost me a lot, especially in the romance department, because I will see people that I've run into on several occasions, and they'll start talking to me, and I don't know who they are.
Well, you know, it's funny because, you know, some people are like that, like myself when it comes to the face, of course I remember that, but when it comes to the name, I cannot remember names whatsoever. So, you know, there's different sides of the brain that work different ways, and I'm a very visual person, but it just happens to be that objects and faces lock in there for some reason. But yeah, the names, you can say your name to me and I'll forget it in 2 minutes, but I'll remember the face forever. So yeah, a lot of people can't realize expressions either. So I can understand that when it comes to facial recognition.
Yeah, see, once I get to know somebody, like when I talk to somebody, that's how I get to know them. When you talk to somebody, you start seeing like their own personality come through. But, you know, when you have all these superficial conversations in most public arrangements, you don't get to know somebody. So when I see somebody, even though, let's say I've spent a lot of time around them or talking to them or going to the same places as them, I've gotten to the point now where, especially back when I was going out a lot, I would just pretend to know somebody, whoever they were, when they came up and started talking to me. I just pretended that I recognized them, and just because I found if I didn't, most of the time it would just work against me because people get really angry when you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I can't say, well, that's because you must have not done anything to make yourself stand out. You know, that's individual. So rather than do that, I just go ahead and just pretend I know anybody who talks to me. And occasionally it'll backfire on me. Somebody will say, I'll be like, oh, wait a minute. They're like, are you sure you know me? And I'll be like, oh, wait, no. But see, that's less likely to happen where I pretend to know somebody and it turns out I actually don't know them than where I pretend to know somebody and eventually they do something or say something that make me realize that actually I have, in fact, met this person before.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I can't help you with that.
Yeah, well, the reason I bring that up is not so I can just ramble on about a topic that I'm fascinated with, which is myself. It's because when I look at your work, a lot of times, I don't really see it a lot what you're pointing out. But that's because of how I see it. So let's pick that up on the other side of the question. All right, we are back. I believe that was I just had to run back to the computer real quick. I believe that was a little insomnia going on there. Are you back with us, Ed?
I'm here.
All right, so what I was trying to say there, the point of me saying that is I'm just not really good at recognizing faces. Again, I recognize people through personality and certain mannerisms, more so than I do by facial features. So when I look at a lot of your work, sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't. But what I'm saying is, well, I'm not really good at recognizing faces anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like that, and I get a lot of people that say that to me. And the other thing that I also, maybe it's my fault too, is, I'm picking some of the photos out of, say, 40 or 50 photos I have of a person, and the reason why I pick a certain photograph is because that's, to me, my perception of that photo it proves its point, but to some other person it might not, and to some other person a different photo might when it doesn't to me. So that's something that it's a little bit difficult sometimes, but I that's why I'm available when people contact me and they ask me some questions. I'll send them over a bunch of photos and then they can see which one it makes sense to them and their perception. So
yeah, I'll say early on I learned another trait that makes people, not that this has anything to do with your work, but it's something else. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. I could find, and people were kind of amazed at this, but I don't think it's that unusual where, we're all good at picking up certain things that, again, let's go back to the school example. Instead of all turning out the same where we recognize people through the same set of traits, there's other things that make people identifiable. One of the things I learned from you is the ears. One of the things I learned early on, I remember when I was in college, there was this huge field that wouldn't allow for it to be developed that I would have to walk across. And one of my friends could be 100 yards down at the end of the field where I'm just starting to walk on it, and I could immediately tell who it was just by their gait, their walk.
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely there's different characteristics that when they look at a person in general, they can form a whole profile of somebody when it comes to the biometrics, and that the gait is definitely one of them.
So, looking at your work, again, this is why I want you to present a lot of it here. I know we've got a lot of people listening. They're curious, and I've seen you've raised some controversy yourself. You are another controversial figure, and I know a lot of people don't see my work. Let me go back to that point because I've been looking at this for so long where I talk about what's going on via Hollywood, where if you interpret the symbols, you can kind of see that these people are basically admitting certain things to you, pederasty being one of those things. And people are like, well, you're reaching for this. I'm like, well, no, the information I look at, this is clear as day to me. So I'm sure you get a lot of that too, where, you're looking at these faces, day in, day out, you're doing all the work. Now, you're not going to put together a 12-hour video, which is, how long it may have taken you to arrive to a certain point, presenting that point.
Well, I mean, it depends on how important this person is that I really need to make my case. If it's one of the third or fourth tier type of person that's just in, I can see that person standing in this crowd and they're standing in this crowd and, sort of makes the point that they're an actor, that's just, one thing. But if it's a main character that's playing a major role, then of course, I'll spend some more time on that and I'll make sure that point is made. But a lot of the things that I do, it's not, I don't take the work and I don't make the work mine. It's not for me to say this is mine and nobody else has it. It's something that is out there for everyone to see. I mean, I found those photographs and that's one part of it, but those photographs is there for anybody to see. So it's not like, I've had something special handed to me. But the other thing is the science that goes with the ear recognition, it's available to anybody that wants to study it. And then when you start seeing these things, there's algorithms that are basically set up that, it's a scientific, repeatable process that you can do to prove this. So it's not like I have, an opinion or, I'm saying, oh, this person looks like that person. And the other thing is that I'm not just pulling these people out at random. There's a thing online that people say they're lookalikes. Well, I mean, yeah, they do look alike, but I'm not randomly picking somebody out of a crowd and saying, they look like this person or they look like that person. The people that I'm saying that they look like all have this underlying connection, and they all happen to be like from Pima County, and they all are actors, or some of them are in the sheriff's department or in Sheriff Dupnick's books. So there's a common connection that I'm going through when, say, the Casey Anthony trial. All the people that were involved in that trial, you can find them all in the Pima County Sheriff Dupnick's book. Now, that then breaks down the fact that, people will say, oh, it's a coincidence. They just happen to look alike. Well, no, they don't just happen to look alike. When 4 of them are standing there in a courtroom and then 4 of them are in the same picture inside of one book, you're throwing, coincidence out the window. So a lot of times people, when they see a part of what I do and maybe they watch 1 or 2 videos and they haven't seen the rest of it, they jump on me because they don't know the history about the whole case. And, it's understandable. So I try to make sure that, I explain myself that way, and I try to help them say, that's why I make my videos short, and, just basically get you the facts, and that's about it, without going into the whole story and rehashing it each time. So it's a catch-22 type of thing.
Well, I'll say this, out of the faces that I could definitely see and know that here's one that I think you nailed right spot on, is the tattoo shop owner who apparently gave Casey her tattoo.
Yes.
Okay, that is that guy that you showed from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. That is him, no doubt in my mind on that one. I could clearly see that one.
And that's Kenny Bloomberg. And
the interesting point about that is, okay, let's just say that I, having come across your work, don't see some of the other information you present. Let's say the Casey Anthony case, right? Let's just say that I don't see it. Well, I can't dismiss that one point. So even if you're, let's just say, I'm just saying this, I'm not saying that you are, I'm just saying, even if you're wrong about everything else on that, you can't dismiss that one point. Why is this actor from Arizona County Sheriff's Department showing up as a tattoo shop owner in Orlando?
And why is he a family member in the Greenbergs? Why is he involved in this with other family members that are showing up in the same event and in the same Pima County books, and then you see them in their family photographs all together, and they're going as Bloombergs. And here's the other thing that I want people to remember, that it only takes one of the people per event to be right. I don't have to be right about them all, even though I do believe that I am, but I only have to be right about one individual in each of those events to show that there's a problem here that needs to be looked into. And depending upon who that person is, it could be a big problem or just a, hey, what's going on here problem.
Yeah, I mean, whatever people, maybe they're forming their own opinions about the whole Casey Anthony case, which again, it's a very interesting idea that maybe all of it was made up, but you just have to ask that one question. Why is this guy being interviewed as the person that gave her tattoo when he doesn't even live in the state of Florida?
Well, actually, he does live in Florida.
He does?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Well, I believe they do from their personal photographs. They do live there, and but that that could be a second home or third home. Who knows?
Oh.
But
well, there are studios here in Orlando.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where some of them live, and I've been down to those studios, so those back lots. And, a lot of these things, when you do see what they can do with movies and technologies and green screens, a lot of the stuff then becomes totally relevant and very, very doable. It's not that big of a stretch of imagination to understand that these events that you see that are the occupied events. Now, I'm not saying all of it. I'm saying the focal events, like the ones that have violence in them or the confrontations, could have been shot with green screen in the background. So, it's very possible.
There was a video I posted one time on one of my postings on one of my blogs, and it was something that got passed along to me, and it shows you how effective the green screen technology is and what they can do with it. Where you just have to ask at the end of that, it's like, well, how much of what I'm seeing, is real? Because that's what I'll be using, although I want to get to that later. One of the things I do want to point out early on here is I did see one of your videos that made me laugh. It was the one where you show the calipers you use. I'm not sure exactly what that device is. And now people were saying that this was obviously Freemasonic symbolism, so you must be a Freemason and one of, quote-unquote, them.
Yeah, it's a golden mean scale. It's basically a Fibonacci scale, a ratio of 1 to 1.618, which is the golden rectangle. The Romans used it with all their architecture. Your face, your body, all living things are basically based on this calculation. And if you know where the eyes are on the face, then you can calculate where everything else is supposed to be on the face per this equation, and that's just the way it is. So this is it's a ruler basically that you can lay on the face, and you can measure the different points and see if things are real or not, or they match up. And a lot of times I would use that when it came to the Pima County books, because there's a good portion of the people that are in there that if you watch my one video, and you can see that they've taken facial parts of one face, like the eyes and the chin, and they'll match it with another person. They'll take the ears and the cheeks, and they'll put it together and make a new person, a totally fake person.